you are new to cruising or just need a reminder of what is possible, I have 20 items that you can ask your cabin steward for on your next cruise. Some may surprise you, so you want to stick around until the end. Ahoy, travelers! It's Amy here to help you make your travel experience a success. Now, what does a cabin steward do for you? They are more than just someone who cleans your room, although that is a big part of their job. They are a hospitality professional and they are there to ensure that passengers have a comfortable and enjoyable stay in their cabin during their cruise. So, cabin stewards are primarily responsible for cleaning and maintaining the cabins. This includes daily tasks like making beds, vacuuming, cleaning bathrooms, and replenishing toiletries and towels. Depending on the cruise line, they often provide a nightly turn-down service where they prepare the cabin for bedtime. This might include turning down the bed covers, arranging pillows, placing chocolates or small amenities on the pillow, and drawing the curtains. So on your first day, your room steward will attempt to meet you, introduce themselves, and check for any special requests. They will also usually discuss when it will be a good time to come into your room every day, especially if they do not offer a turn down service and you're only going to be in your room once a day. This is the perfect time to ask for any items on our list, especially if those may be of limited quantity on board the ship. So keep in mind that not all lines will offer or have available all the items on this list, but if you don't know, ask. It never hurts to ask. If you need something and cannot locate your steward in the hall outside your room, there usually is going to be a card located in your room with their information on it, including a number to reach them. So let's get started. We've got 20 items. Number one, an ice bucket. Just like in a hotel, many cruise cabins will have an ice bucket. However, unlike a hotel, there's nowhere for guests to fill those buckets up themselves. Instead, if you want fresh ice in your room every day, let your cabin steward know. Number two, change the bed configuration. So on most ships, the beds in a cabin can be either made up into one queen or king size bed or into two twin beds. So if you go into your cabin and you find the configuration is incorrect, be sure to let your cabin steward know that during that first meeting. You can also leave them a note or call them or housekeeping if you don't see them. So when booking your cruise, you or your travel agent will be asked if you want one bed or two, but we found that information doesn't always make it to the room steward. We've had a couple times where we walk in, it's one bed, and we ask them to change it. Luckily, it's a quick change that they are happy to make. Number three, a mattress topper. So piggybacking off of number two, if your bed is too firm or you have one queen bed and you find that the crack in the middle is bothering you, you can ask for a mattress topper. This is definitely one of those items that you're going to want to ask for as soon as possible to make sure that you get one before they run out of them. Number four, putting away the extra beds. If you're sleeping 3 or 4 in your cabin, you're going to be using some type of non-standard bed like a trundle bed, pull-out couch, or pull-down Pullman bed. If you'd like those to be put away during the day, let your room steward know. We've never sailed with more than 2 in our room, so I'm not exactly sure what lines are doing that have gotten rid of that turn down service when it comes to like making up those extra beds. But it doesn't hurt to discuss this with your room steward and see if they can be put away during the day and made back into beds in the evening. Number 5, extra pillows. One thing I now ask for on every cruise is extra pillows. I used to be a person who slept almost completely flat and would use only the thinnest of pillows. That was back when I slept on my stomach and it was terrible for my back. But since I started having problems with my shoulders and my back, I have to use a lot of pillows to prop myself up just right, or I will barely be able to move the next day. I actually have a special pillow that I use at home, but it's just really too big to pack unless I want to take an entirely separate suitcase for it. So if you're like me, or you're just someone who loves lots of pillows, don't hesitate to ask for extra. They usually come with 2 per bed. They're going to get you an extra pillow or 2. Just tell them what you need. Similarly, some lines even offer different pillow types. So if you need a softer or firmer pillow, ask and see if one of is available. So number 6, extra towels. Most cabin bathrooms are supplied with 2 sets of towels. If you need more, whether it's because you have extra people in your room or you just like to use one towel for your head and one for your body, this is something your room steward can help you out with. Number 7, a bathrobe. This is something I forget about and really need to remember to ask for. Who doesn't love a good robe? Some cruise lines provide robes automatically and some only provide them in specific cabins, but you can always ask for one if your cabin doesn't automatically have one. Almost all lines are going to get you a bathrobe if you request one. You can also see if slippers are available. Now, I know I don't like walking around barefoot even in my own house, let alone in a hotel or cruise cabin. Number 8, wine glasses. If you're planning to open up that bottle of wine or champagne you brought with you, you can ask your cabin steward for some wine glasses. Now, you can also pick up wine glasses at one of the bars. Just don't go to one of the pool decks, as they usually only serve drinks in plastic cups to prevent broken glass in areas where many people walk barefoot. Now, I didn't make this its own thing, and I'm a little hesitant about even mentioning it, but you might be able to ask for a corkscrew for your wine as well. I do know that some cruise lines absolutely will not provide these and instead charge a corkage fee to have corks removed at the bar or restaurant. And I'm not 100% sure which ones are strict about it and which will gladly bring you a corkscrew. So you're probably going to want to bring your own, but if you don't hesitate to ask and see if they'll get you one. Number 9, an extra blanket. Now, this is something that we need to remember to ask for my mother. I get super hot when I sleep and want the room as cold as possible, but she gets cold at night. Your room steward can get you an extra blanket for your bed. Some lines also offer blankets that can be checked out for use. These are usually like a lap blanket, a smaller blanket. Usually they're for the use on open decks at night so the temperatures are cooler. You can grab one of those yourself or even see if your room steward can get one for you. They're great for early mornings on the balcony or taking a midday nap without getting under all your sheets. We were on a cruise one time. Mom was cold the whole time and she didn't want to ask for anything. So I ended up digging out the bigger comforter that was meant to be used for when the beds are configured as a queen, and she was able to use that. You can usually find the extra bedding under one of the beds or in the closet. Having said that, if you prefer European style sleeping where each person is getting their own comforter despite sleeping in one bed, let your cabin steward know. I'm sure they're going to be happy to accommodate you. The twin comforters already exist in the room. They just will swap that out for the one big comforter. Number 10, a fan. Now, speaking of being hot in your room, one way to deal with that is a fan. Or maybe you just like the noise. I know many people cannot sleep without a fan for one reason or another. Now, while I recommend bringing your own travel fan with you, you can ask your cabin steward if they have one that they could provide for you. Fewer cruise lines are doing this, and even when they do, they only have a limited amount to loan out. This is definitely one of those items that you're going to want to ask for first thing. Now, if you are going to bring your own fan, check with the cruise line and see if they have any specifications on what you can and cannot bring. Some will only allow smaller travel fans that use USB cords to power them. I bought myself one that's very thin. It doesn't take up a lot of room in my suitcase, but still moves around plenty of air, and it does plug in with a USB. So we're halfway through our list. Let me know if any of the ones that we've already talked about are something that you've asked for and had success with. So number 11, extra hangers. So while cruise cabin closets will have clothes hangers in them, whether that is going to be enough for you depends on how many the line provides and how many hanging clothes that you brought with you. If you bring a lot of clothes that need to be hung up, there's no need to pack extra hangers and take up valuable space in your luggage. Your room steward can bring you extra hangers if you need them. Number 12, the daily printed planner. For those who have cruised for years, we all know about the daily planners left in your cabin each evening that have information on everything available to do on board the next day and a timeline of when those activities occur. So after adding apps that provide all that information and more, many cruise lines have slowly begun to stop automatically providing paper versions of the daily planner to your cabin every night. Now, if you still like having that physical copy, or you're like me and like to keep them as a souvenir or so that you can keep track of activities and how they change over time or by ship or line, Then you can ask your cabin steward to bring you a paper copy every evening. If you forget to ask, which I have done, you can go down to guest services and usually you can grab one there as well. Number 13, towel animals. Cabin stewards used to make towel animals on almost all lines, but many lines have gotten away from this service, although you can still get them daily on Carnival. In fact, Carnival even has a day where you wake up to find the Lido pool area completely decorated with towel animals. It's something to see. Now, if you're on a cruise line that doesn't automatically provide towel animals, maybe you're cruising with a small child, or you just love coming back to your cabin and seeing that cute little elephant or monkey that made out of towels, you can ask your cabin steward if they know how to make them. Even on lines that no longer automatically provide this service, you'll find that many cabin stewards still know how to make a towel animal. Number 14, an extension cord. So for those cruisers who are bringing a CPAP machine or something similar, you will likely need an extension cord as there are rarely plug-ins next to the bed. This is something that you can ask your cabin steward to provide for you. Many lines want to know if you're using a CPAP prior to cruising so that they can be prepared. You may need to purchase distilled water from the line to be delivered to your room, and you should be able to ask for an extension cord at that time. However, if you forget to notify the line, then asking your room steward is your next best option. Number 15, open the balcony partitions. So for those who are cruising with friends and family and book balcony cabins next to each other, you can ask your cabin steward to remove the partition between your balconies. Now, this might not be possible or available on all ships, but many have removable partitions. Doing this will open up your balcony and provide a space for you and your friends to enjoy the views together. Just remember, balconies are not a place for parties, and any noise that you make might disturb those around you. Number 16, a sewing kit. What happens if your dress pants you packed for elegant night have a small tear or there's a seam that's come undone? Talk to your cabin steward. They might be able to find a small sewing kit to help you repair your clothes. So anytime something breaks, tears, or needs some kind of repair, your cabin steward should be the first person you go to. They're going to be the best person to help you find a fix for whatever issue you have. Now I have 4 more items on our list, and these last 4 are a little bit more obscure, but you might find it's just what you need. So number 17, a sharps container. Do you need to take regular shots? Maybe you're diabetic, whatever the situation is. If so, you will want to let your cabin steward know that you need a sharps container. Please do not toss needles into the trash. Number 18, have them empty the minibar. So some cruise lines will have a minibar with snacks and stock the refrigerator up in the cabin with drinks. If you want to be able to use your fridge, or you just don't want someone to accidentally open an item and then you have to pay for it, you can ask your cabin steward to remove them. Number 19, a tea kettle. So most American cruise lines do not provide tea kettles or coffee makers in a standard cabin. However, you can always ask your cabin steward if one could be provided. While they may not always be able to accommodate this request due to cruise line policy, if they can, you may find that they can also provide you with a selection of teas as well. And finally, our last item, number 20, a shower chair. So for those who cannot stand for long or may have an other issue that requires them to sit while showering, you can ask your cabin steward for a shower chair. This is something that I never really considered a possibility before, but there are cases where you may not need a handicap accessible cabin, but you do have issues standing for long periods. If you need a shower chair, just ask. See if they can provide you one. Your cabin steward is your first point of contact if something is wrong in your room or if you need something. Did you get a stain on your shirt, rip your pants, forget something at home? Ask your cabin steward if they have any suggestions. You may be surprised by what they can manage to find or do for you. What are some things you have asked your cabin steward for? Let me know in the comments what you've had success with and what you haven't. Now, I want to bring up another item that often gets brought up when we talk about cabin stewards. Should you tip them? Some people do recommend tipping at the beginning of the week to encourage good service, or even splitting your tip and giving half on the first day and the remainder at the end of your cruise. We did this during our first few cruises due to recommendations by other cruisers. However, after putting a few cruises under our belts, we found that most cabin stewards are going to give you great service, no matter what. It's their job. That's what they do. So we just now tip at the end, but we do give a tip. Have you had a bad experience with a cabin steward? We've never had what I would say is a bad experience, but we did have a cruise where we only saw our steward one time, which is fairly unusual. Usually you see them at least once a day. Not only do we rarely see the steward working, because usually you see them in the hallways in the mornings and the evenings, but it seemed like the bare minimum was being done as well. If I remember correctly, that was right about when many lines started reducing the number of cabin stewards. A lot of lines went from having two people that worked together down to one, and they even gave them extra rooms. And I'm sure that this cabin steward was just trying to get used to making up more rooms without that extra help. Now, I like to always acknowledge our steward when we see him or her, say hi, ask how their day's going, basically just be polite and interested in them as a person. I think this goes a long way into building a relationship with them, and you're going to be seeing them. They're going to be taking care of you throughout your cruise. It really is the humane thing to do. Be polite. Now remember, the availability of these items or services can vary significantly between different cruise lines and ships. Some requests might incur additional charges, especially for items that are not typically provided by the cruise line. Also, while stewards aim to be accommodating, they manage multiple cabins, so respect their workload by making requests in a timely manner. So are you ready for more information on cruising? Why not stick around and check out this video and then come back for more information designed to help you have an amazing cruise. Have a blessed week, everyone.